Alrighty. Well, I think what I'm probably gonna do now. Well, hi everybody. I think what I'll probably be doing now is I'll probably start posting these reviews um earlier in the day on Sunday, so I don't have to do it later at night. It just kind of makes sense. But if I'm working that day, I'm probably not gonna have any time to do it. But I don't have any work today, so yeah, you don't want to hear about my part-time job. That's not what I'm here to do. This isn't the vlog about that. Um, this week I'm going to be talking about the 1988 classic Big. Since that movie recently had its 30th anniversary, I kind of thought it would be a good idea to, talk about. And I'll probably do Bull Durham next if I'm not seeing any movies next weekend that are new. So Big, to give you the basic plot line, it's basically this preteen wishes he were big because he feels that being a taller person and an adult would solve his problems of not getting the girl, being embarrassed by his parents, and being able to have all the perks of being about a foot taller than he is. But I mean, kid, you're 12 years old. Sooner or later, you're gonna be maybe 6 feet at least. You look like a pretty decent sized kid, but I digress. So the kid played by Josh Baskin he's just your typical boy who's just trying to fit in and not be ridiculed. So when he makes his wish at a mysterious Zoltar machine, this kind of weird fortune teller devil game at this carnival, he wakes up the next morning into a 32-year-old Tom Hanks. Well, inside the body of a 32-year-old Tom Hanks, he gets transformed, and the rest of the movie is him trying to find the Zoltar machine to turn himself back into a kid again. And in the process of doing so, he ends up living in New York City, gets a job at a toy company, becomes the vice president of said company, and gets a girlfriend that he comes very close and really emotionally attached to and very loving. And you probably know where this is gonna go. And while Big isn't really given a whole lot of credit points for doing something that's original, because there are a lot of age issue movies in the 80s about someone being young and becoming an adult, or an adult becoming a kid again. They even did that movie twice, like in the past 20 years. They did that with 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner. They also did that with 17 again with Zac Efron. So we've seen those kinds of movies a million times before. But I think what this makes this movie work well is that this movie seems I've only seen 14, 13 going on 30 because I had no choice one time. But with Big, it seems like the movie is trying hard to take this fantastical idea and try to make this as realistic as possible. The only thing that really makes this a fantasy is the fact that a 12-year-old is a 32-year-old overnight. That's pretty much you don't even see the transformation. You see him as a kid the night he makes the wish, and then when he wakes up the next morning, he turns into Tom Hanks. So, and one thing I also love about the movie is the romance between Tom Hanks and Elizabeth Perkins. It does seem very believable because Elizabeth Perkins is this very strong, plucky career woman, and she's kind of got so caught up in the adult responsibilities that she's forgotten how to have fun, how to be youthful, but still be a responsible adult. And Tom Hanks' character kind of shows her that you could still be a kid without being immature. You know, you can still have the energy and the playfulness of a kid, but you can also have the wisdom and the maturity of an adult at the same time, which is something that Perkins's current boyfriend, played by John Hurt, doesn't seem to understand too well. And there's not really a love triangle because Perkins, she goes straight for Hanks because she kind of sees him. I think she kind of is attracted to him because of his business skills, but then as the relationship develops, she does see him as a legitimate, boyfriend. And there's one point in the movie where Tom Hanks's character Josh Baskin is writing a letter to his parents saying this experience might even be good for me because his mom, Tom Hanks or Josh tries to convince his mom what happened in the first third of the movie, and she thinks that he's actually a man that kidnapped her son. You know, so Tom Hanks writes a letter as Josh. Well, then again, I shouldn't say it because he is Josh. So he writes a letter to his mom to say I'm okay, and he's right. This experience actually is good for him, as he says in the letter, because you're learning how to handle all the stuff that you're gonna have to deal with in college in your young adult life. You already kind of have a job that you're pretty sure you're gonna be good at and you are successful at, and you're also learning how to balance, working and relationships with other people. So you're definitely learning a lot of adult issues and problems and expectations of the society while you're technically you're 13 but you're 32 in everyone else's eyes in the city. Well, it got really sunny out there. Anyway, so yeah, the movie does kind of touch on that really good, and there is good chemistry between our two leads. And what I also like is that this movie, it has a lot of heart to it. You know, it is kind of a sweet, innocent story, but at the same time, the kids when we're watching the movie at the beginning, the kids are actual kids. I'm not sure if I mean I don't know if anyone would talk to their buddy about how to look down a woman's shirt when you're only 12 years old, but happens in the movie, and I'm pretty sure it happens in other middle schools sometimes, but I don't think it's necessarily about a teacher. That's kind of creepy. But yeah, no, like Josh's friend Billy talks to him about that as they're hanging out during like a typical day in the afternoon at I think they're somewhere in either New Jersey or somewhere they're in a suburban area in New York that's not far from the Big Apple. So it's just a nice neighborhood. I think it's just a nice neighborhood in New York that Josh is living in at the beginning of the movie, and then after he makes his wish, he goes to the city to try and figure things out, and he is living in downtown New York City. So okay, I mean, honestly, this movie is so timeless and so pure that it wouldn't matter which American city they could have had it in Chicago for all I care, and it still would have worked. Although I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have been able to shoot at FAO Schwartz unless they wanted to make it a fictional Toy Story. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked again. Anyway, so honestly, I think this movie it's probably one of the few romantic comedy fantasies that I would still recommend. The only other one I can think of is Princess Bride, but honestly, the one thing that's really good is that before Tom Hanks, when Tom Hanks is getting used to his older self, the actor he actually got nominated for an Oscar, and I'm actually surprised he didn't win. But he did a really good job at playing a 12-year-old stuck in a grown man's body at first. I mean, there is that whole transformation where he gets caught up in the business side of things and he becomes a full-on man, but, well, mentally more so. But when he's still a kid and he's still doing all the stupid things that a kid would do, it does feel genuine. And I did read that Tom Hanks would watch the child actor playing his younger self, David Moscow, act out a scene, and then after he watched Moscow do the scene, he would mimic it and he would make the performance all his own. And this would be the first of two times that Tom Hanks would watch a child actor and get some hints and tips from him a little bit. But all in all, this movie, it's a very fun ride. Um, it's actually very endearing. There are a lot of adult jokes in there for a PG movie that would go over any kid's head, but this movie's actually a lot funnier once you're an adult because you know some of the terminology and stuff. Well, one of my favorite jokes in the movie is when Tom Hanks is working at the toy company on his very first day, and John Lovitz is like, "Hey, you see that girl over there? Say hi to her. She's yours. She'll have your legs around you so tight you'll be begging for mercy." And then Tom Hanks is like, "Well, I'll stay away from her then." So I guess Lovett thinks that Baskin's gay or something. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. If you've seen this movie, watch it again. If you haven't seen this movie, it's a great film. I highly recommend seeing it. It's probably one of the most charming movies you'll ever see in your life. And I'm gonna do my guitar cover tomorrow since I'm working all day Tuesday. So tomorrow's cover will be "Prove It All Night" as part 3 of my Darkness on the Edge of Town tribute. So hopefully, well, yeah, you'll hopefully I should have it up by tomorrow afternoon after lunch. Now I can say goodbye.